Okay. So I have been recommended well, I was actually requested to debunk a certain point that was made by Steven in Your Dinosaurs Are Wrong. However, I have decided to actually check out the entire video just to gain more perspective and context, because I think it's very important and frequently underestimated. So I have taken a few notes right here on the right hand side, just general notes to just remember certain points just in case. However, I am mainly going to be obviously pointing out the issues that were brought up in Steven's video, but that they are not something that I would blame Steven personally. I would probably just blame the general idea and just certain cliche tropes that are being frequently brought up and forced down people's throats as if they are scientific facts. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sick of it happening. I kind of want this whole thing to just wrap up and so we can move on and just do some other things like I was doing in a previous video, like talking about these different ideas of where else we can find some cool dinosaurs, like Russia or like other places potentially, which do not get discussed very often on the internet, for example, in the community, just some really cool stuff out there that is worthy of more attention than just beating up this dead horse about the lips and feathers. But anyway, it appears that it's gonna persist for a while, so we might as well just address it. Now, of course, he made a lot of good points about things that I'm in very much agreement with. I will not be able to replay the video for one reason, that I don't want YouTube to copyright strike me. And they do have this kind of weird tendency that even though it's supposed to fall under fair use, I am not going to do that. I'm just gonna say this is the video, and I'll provide the link as well, just in case. And make sure you subscribe. As you can see, I'm subscribed to him as well. I like his form of presentation. He has a beautiful setup. I really think it's something quite well done, and hopefully one day I'll make myself a new setup, or maybe something that you can see, so I can display my collections very nicely in a similar manner or similar whatever thingamajiggy. Anyway, let's address the points. Mainly the points that I found very cool and in agreement with is how he brought up the idea of thickness with the throat and the visible fenestrae. It's my personal pet peeve as well. The other one specifically, which is not, well, I mean, forward facing eyes is 100% correct, sure, and the pronated arms, that's a bit cliche, but it's true. Everybody knows this, but dentition and the nostrils is one of the things as well that don't get brought up very frequently. And these are my favorite pet peeves, especially dentition, being that sometimes dentition actually distinguishes different species, so it's a very important thing to note as well, although a lot of times it gets simplified for the purpose of scaling, because it's not always possible to represent it 100% true to scale. But when it's possible, it's actually very good, but not always possible though, just bear that in mind. Now then, of course, a few notes about that the Carr et al., that they weren't just looking at the bone textures, there was actually traces left there that they looked at, and it's quite clear that the integument, the facial integument, goes all the way down to the tooth row and does not extend beyond it. And it's wherever it's applicable, it doesn't break the consistency. So this is another thing that Dr. Carr himself has addressed. So I will advise to contact him directly if you want to get more context. And of course, when you read the paper, if you do read Carr et al. 2017, make sure you also read the supplementary material and notes. Now, the jugal bit, or the hugel face corners part, made me laugh. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, because I really have my personal... See, this is one of the things me and Steven have in common. We struggle with pronunciations of certain terminology, and I can totally appreciate him making a good joke out of it, because I just totally see myself in that position almost all the time. Now, now let's get to the bits where it starts going wrong, and first one is that blog post, please, for the love of God Almighty, universe, the force, or whatever else you believe in, Steven, yourself, please do not use blog posts as, research because they are just simply opinions of people, individual characters, people, whatever. Doesn't matter if they are scientists or not. The point is that this is not an actual scientific research. This is just their opinion, which just represents certain already existing evidence from a different angle, which is fair and square, but it's not published in a scientific journal. This is not something that has been put through the same scrutiny and met with the same standard as the scientific publications in the journals. So the moment it becomes that way, then maybe you will hear me sing a different tune, but for the time being, unless that is the case, I strongly advise not to do that. And this is my personal pet peeve about people using blog posts. I'm guilty of that myself in the past, which I perfectly admit to being, guilty of. But as you notice in my latest content, I stay away from using blog posts, and even when I did use the blog posts, I try to usually trace exactly what evidence they are using to support a certain point of view, and even then I prefer to just not use the blog posts for the reason that I have stated. It's more to reflect and gain a perspective if you want, but this is not to be used in any way to claim as if that's some kind of research, which good for Steven, though. He never actually said that. He admitted, which is more than I can say about many other people out there, he admitted that this is not to be treated as scientific research in a way that there has been no actual scientific research conducted in this topic about theropods having lips or not. What we do know is that they are not related to lizards or lepidosaurs in the same way as you might think. They are both reptilia, of course, but they are archosaurs, while lepidosaurs and lizards and all of that, lizards and snakes are lepidosaurs, right? And they all consistently share these kind of structures for a variety of reasons. But archosaurs do not. So please bear in mind that there's a lot of difference there, and we should actually not jump into these cliche trends just because we want to be edgy. I get a little bit tired of this trend of being edgy, getting in the way of objective reality and facts. So let's just enjoy science for what it is, with its objective pros and cons. Now, pardon me. Now, next bit is the Colindrodromias being used as an example. That is not a way to invalidate in any way a published work. Not only are they unrelated taxa, but Colindrodromias does not have feathers. Those structures are something that's unique to its own thing. It's a very unique example. It's not been very extensively studied yet, and I would personally suggest to check out my video on the subject right here, which I've done with Dr. Jason Burke. This is the important bit here because there was a lag with YouTube that got the audio cut in this particular time frame right here. So please bear that in mind, and when you watch it, and these are the exact words of the text that got cut. So please watch the video if you are interested really to understand the subject better, and just get a better perspective of why it's not a good idea to use these kind of things. And that's also addressing my other point about the binary standpoint. When it's like looking at scales and feathers, you have to understand that they are mutually exclusive and antagonistic, and that's perfectly demonstrated in the references provided here. Pardon me again, my throat is getting a little bit sore, so if I'm talking a bit weirdly, bear in mind that's why. Now, in any case, what it means is that certain models that are being proposed about feathering the gaps, with tyrannosaurids, they do not work. Basically, these models are not functional in that sense, because they contradict the established model and they break the consistency, and unless you have evidence to actually prove that for them in particular that was the case, that's an extraordinary claim and requires extraordinary evidence. So the burden of proof still lies on that very point. Until then, by default, tyrannosaurids are scaly and theropods do not have lips. Now, the other thing I wanted to address is the taphonomy argument, which is completely false, and that's another pitfall that Andy Cow unfortunately shot himself in the foot here by making that argument about the preserved penguin fossil. What he did not address it was the fact that Tyrannosaurus scales impressions do not preserve the traces of follicles, which clearly show up here on a good image from the paper directly. So nice try here, Dr. Cow, but no, I am not going to subscribe to that idea. That obviously the phonomic argument here does not make any sense, because here we have perfectly well preserved traces consistently of the follicles, showing how the quills or feathers, whatever, get inserted, which is demonstrated here under magnifier. And in case of scaly Tyrannosaurids, there is not a single one of them that actually has been noted at all. So I will have to make that very clear, that this is completely wrong and should be very well understood by now, and those who have already caught up to date with it will know it, but those who haven't, please, I will drop the paper via Discord probably, and link to the Discord server will be included as well. Now the next bit I wanted to address was the Bell et al. Bit, where Steven says that they are presumably about 1 millimeters, which is not false, but however it's ignoring the other parts, which says that there is quite a wide range of them, even on average in 3.6, then ranging from 2.5 to 4.9, almost 5 millimeters, and then you have specimens which go up to 7 in diameter and 1.4, 2.5. You see, there's quite a bit of a variety and diversity among them, so I would very much appreciate it if that was not ignored and not used as an argument somehow to illustrate that taphonomic or whatever argument, which is already, as I exposed it, is quite bad, and at the very most it's an extraordinary claim, but it's easily debunked when you demonstrate and look at the actual evidence rather than just at bad quality images online. In any case, yes, finally, to finish on a very positive note, not that I was being negative about Steven or anything, but I like extra positive notes here, that yes, green T-Rexes absolutely rule. I love his whole idea that T-Rexes should be green, because I support that notion as well. Not that I deny the fact that there's a possibility of them being brown or green, gray, but I do not think they were orange. I do not think they were purple or pink or anything of that sort. So good one on that, Steven. Very lovely video overall, very well presented, very good mannerisms, very good, is there a word, diction, when you have very good coherency of speech. I really enjoyed that quite a lot as well. And overall, very nice attitude, totally opposite of me. Like, if you look at AK Rex here, your boy Rex is a bit of an asshole on the internet, which is just what I do. But Steven here is the absolute lovable personality. Make sure you check him out. With that note, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I answered all these points, and I hope it was helpful where applicable to those who have requested the content and those who are here for the first time. All the links will be below in the description, and also I will see if I can get a hold of this paper, because this is the new one for me. I haven't noticed it, it's been a while, but I want to check this out. So anyway, on a positive note here, guys, thanks for watching, and Steven, if you're watching this, I hope you are perfectly clear. This is not a jab at you. I'm just correcting certain points which are common, not exclusive to you directly. They are common all across the community and need to be addressed, rightfully so. And have a good one, mate, and keep up the good content. Ciao, AK Rex, out.